Good morning, race fans, and welcome to Talladega Country as we fire off our Talladega Sunday right here on Racers Elite Network before all the high-flying, high-octane racetrack are racing at the Big House. We land here on the virtual side of things as some of the best in Racers Elite strap in, get ready to rock and roll as we go the distance. We're going all the way a 100%er. So strap in, make sure Grandma's got plenty of kernel-free popcorn as we get rowdy, down and dirty. So make sure you stick here for all the high-flying, high-octane racing action right here on Racers Elite Network. Want to thank all of you for joining us and spending your morning with us right here as qualifying currently underway. The Goodyear Blimp, of course, bringing you all the aerial pictures right now as we get ready to send it down trackside here momentarily. Before we do that, let's go ahead and take a look at this morning's race information. Throw that up on the big screen. Again, 82 degrees ambient air temperature. Very warm for this time of the year. 45% water drain. As you get north of 50%, that starts to limit the horsepower on these cars just a little bit. Partly cloudy skies. That's going to allow that track temperature to pick up just a little bit. Those winds, the invisible force, that factor they cannot see out there on the racetrack but have to be aware of. Winds right now at 7 could increase 10 to 15 miles an hour with that headwind down the backstretch at times. This racetrack officially clocks in at 2.65 miles with a track temp over the century mark of 115 degrees. Qualifying just about finished up here as it looks like the HMFIC Andrew Teft is going to have the pole. How fitting. As these drivers start to grid down their trackside behind that iRacing.com pace car. Beautiful field this morning, 25 drivers strong.
Have race patrol today?
All of them having the same ambitions as everyone out there right now, and that is to be the first across the start-finish line when that checkered flag flies. And oh, what it means to win here in the Racers Elite Series, especially with a field as strong and star-studded as this one is this morning. Most of those drivers making those final adjustments before they load in onto the racetrack. Tried to bring you guys some of the in-race audio, and as you can hear, some of these drivers having audio problems as they're trying to get some last-minute adjustments made. 78 currently having some sound problems, and that is not what you want, especially at a racetrack where you really rely on your ears to help you get around this 2.66 mile oval, that being Richard Ode, who's going to start here in the 78, so we'll cover that development. Without further ado, let's take a look at this morning's starting lineup as we still wait for him to load into the race session. On the pole, going to be Andrew Teft out of Hope Valley, Rhode Island. Outside of him, road number 1, Bellicat, a driver that's been in this series for a long period of time in the 9 ride. Going to throw it back here to Casey Kate in that Chevrolet. Outside of row number 1, Christopher Pendle. He has been strong. He's had the hot hand as of recent. 2 back-to-back solid performances this past week, Tuesday and Thursday. Look for him to have some mojo coming into this race as he starts 3rd. Brandon Sanfilippo going to start in that 4th place position as this field begins to roll out of Jacksonville, North Carolina. Alex Gates in the 77. He's going to roll off here 5th. Cody Benelli going to be good for a 6th place starting position, while Brian LaPratte in the 101 is going to roll off 7th. Cole Larson, not to be confused with Kyle Larson, is going to start 8th, while Richard Ode 9th. And one of the Shake and Bake boys in the Napa Know-How ride is going to roll off here 10th. The Nitrous Cowboy out of North Carolina, Troy Thomas in 11th. Terry Fennell going to round out your top 12 is J.D. Larson, Austin Norris, and Aaron Roth round out your top 15. Truth Hope, Michael Pritz, Paul Shaw out of Pennsylvania. This will be the top 18. Austin Smith, Brandon Puffenbarger in 20th. Joshua Krall, the 82 of Joshua Neal. Teft, the Alex version, who's coming off a win this past Thursday going to round out the top 24 drivers that are going to take the initial green flag here this morning. And again, folks, it's not about where you start in this race, it's how you finish. It's Talladega, the great equalizer. They say if you put a race car on the racetrack, you have as good of an opportunity to win as anybody. And that could not be more the truth, is Andrew Teft. Now leads them through the turns 3 and 4 complex as we get ready to go live green flag action here from Talladega. The calm before the storm, it's like being in the eye of a Category 5 hurricane. All this calm, not for long. As we patiently await that iRacing.com pace car to pull down pit road. There he goes, here we go. Remember that start-finish line a little bit further down towards the turns 1 and 2 complex. Through the Geico restart zone. Andrew Taft has him stacked, ready to rock. Green flag in the air. He's going to pull the trigger hard on the loud pedal and up through the sequential gearbox for the first time as those glorious V8s come to life, and almost a moment there as the 9-5's going to get stuck in the sucker hole right here on the start. And that is going to suck him all the way to the back, or it should conveyor belt him to the back as he is hemorrhaging positions. Oh, the 9-5's an opening, and he's going to stuff it down right in front of the 18. Catastrophe avoided here for that Chevrolet driver is Andrew Teft getting the business already from the man with the hot hand here in Christopher Pendle, as they have the inside lane driving right now. Kinsley Smith wasting no time on the top side of the racetrack. He knows how to get to the front in that Napa know-how machine. They have it lined up as no, the 15's going to lose his draft partner there. Now he's going to have to rely on the 9, and you see how that broke their momentum as they were on a hot one coming to the front. I firmly believe those 3 cars on the high side would have made it up there with this disorganized as that bottom lane is now. However, going to have to try and regroup and redo that again. Heck, he's still coming right now without even an aggressive side draft. That's how good that 15 is. Teft still leads the way. And remember, folks, this is not a short race. We are going 100% of the distance. The smartest thing you can do is, if you want to be alive and survive and be around at the end of this thing when it counts, is just get into a rhythm right now, log some laps, trim some of the fat off the board, that being the amount of laps remaining in this race. However, we're 2 by 2, side by side, here in the early going. Little bit of an offset push there, not by design. Alex Gates still getting a feel for how this car is going to handle out there with all that dirty air, as we're 2 lanes of fury, as we now have 2 packs of cars forming for the first time this morning. This first group of cars, Truth Hoke in there as well. The top shelf of the racetrack, his teammate behind him in that beautiful 3 machine. So that's going to be your top 7, top 8 cars. Then you have to go back to Terry and J.D. Larson there out of Oregon, Illinois. That's going to be your first group. Then back to that 12th place position where you're going to find a Nebraska man, Aaron Roth. As we seem to have 3 packs of cars now forming. That's how quick things change here at Talladega. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. Single file, that's how you want to be when you're trying to make time on the racetrack. Go ahead and take a look at the telemetry here on Aaron Roth. We'll fill it up on the big screen. You can see him coming now, 196 miles an hour, over 203 there momentarily. Going to have a big-time run here. Watch the momentum the 51's going to carry as he catches the back of this group. Let's see if he uses it, goes to the high side of the racetrack. No, he's going to burp the throttle, exercise some patience, as those 2 groups now become 1. But you've seen how much boogie he had under the hoodie there. Later in that race, you're going to take those runs, that momentum, because this car here, this next gen, with its most recent update, these cars, you can generate some big-time biblical runs in these things, and you have to take those and use them to your advantage later on or early this afternoon, I should say. So used to saying evening, as we're kind of live at a very odd hour this morning. But then again, it's Talladega Day. Want to make sure this race is done so everyone can watch all the action live on TV later today, as Aaron Roth also hits the fastest lap last time by. Obviously, I knew that was probably the case of 49.54, and it would have been probably into the 48-second bracket should he have taken that run. Is Kyle Larson, or Cole Larson, so easy to say Cole. That number 20 Mountain Dew machine, 33. Carries the torch for the first time here this evening. I'm probably going to say this evening a lot, folks, and I apologize. It's just engraved in the brain right now. Chevrolet owns the first 3 spots on the racetrack, that being Larson, Gates, and Kensley Smith, who's wasted no time coming up to third place. Then you have the head cook, chief, and bottle licker, Andrew Teft, in that first four, in that fourth place position. 3 Chevrolets, 2 Fords round out your top 5. Single car, and these guys are going to try to break away here and limit the amount of possibilities for destruction on the racetrack. And the best way to do that is single cars, or single lane of cars out there on the racetrack, ripping the bottom and checking out from the other competitors on the racetrack. And that's what these guys seem to be trying to do right now. However, the rest of these drivers, they knew what was happening. You could see everyone on back there quickly shuffle to a single file lane. There's Paul Shaw once again. Let's go a little bit further on back through this field. Brandon Sanfilippo there in the 12. He'll be a factor in this race before it is said and done. I can assure you guys of that. 2 Lone Rangers on the top shelf of the racetrack trying to make up some time. Be a little further up here. I believe that's going to be the 78 of Richard Ode. Up there on the high side of the racetrack, excuse me. He's going to be in the bottom of that Martin Truex Jr. throwback. It's going to be the 19 ride. Cody Benelli. Top shelf where Mama hides the cookies with some help from Michael Pritz. And they are making some decent ground up there. This high lane, if you know how to utilize it, there's time to be gained up top. A couple drivers seeing what's happening, and they're going to try to merge up there with them, as now they have help from TRD. And another Chevrolet, as that's going to become a 4-lane or 4-man lane up top. Doing a little bit of the Indy snake there, trying to get formed up here. And they're not even really side drafting that much right now. That's impressive to see 4 cars on the high side. Really aren't pushing all that much. And just as I say that, the 45 is going to come up and give the bumper to that 19 and hit the afterburner. In fact, let's jump on board with the 19, as he has it lit like a tater chip, Cletus McFarland style, as he comes to the front in that outside lane. We're now on board with Prince in the 45. In fact, we're going to do our first all-out, wide-open coverage segment of this race. Go ahead, grab that dial, crank it on up with us right here on Racers Elite Network. Let's do this thing. Welcome back, race fans. Hope you enjoyed that Crank It Up all-out session brought to you by Racers Elite Network. You think you got what it takes to put yourself in this hungry pack of drivers out here at places like Talladega, Daytona, and be a part of all the high-flying, high-octane racing action? Make sure you get with Andrew Teft, any one of the league admins, and that could be you next time this group straps in for all the iRacing you could ask for under one house. Literally 7 days of racing at times throughout the course of the month right here, Racers Elite Network and Racers Elite on the league side of things. You want a league that's broadcasted? Check, we got it. You want a league that virtually throws every type of oval track racing, heck, even some road racing at the window and makes it stick? Hey, that's us right here as well. We can get you in. That could be you the next time we send it out there on the racetrack. Is Michael Prince up 15 positions, now leads here from Earnhardt country.
Michael, I'm not going to rush. No rush, nobody on the outside. So.
And you hear that radio chatter. That's the type of things that I like to hear as a broadcaster and as a driver out there on the racetrack. That tells me these drivers understand what the name of the game is right now. And that's not put yourself in a situation where you could have a catastrophic incident on the racetrack. It's so easy to do. You can bump draft someone 100 times and do it perfectly. You do it the same way the next time, and for whatever reason, that car goes redheaded stepchild mode. It'll run a beeline right into the fence. And the best way to avoid that from happening, if there's no urgency out there on the racetrack, just give a little bit of space right now, as a lot of these drivers are doing. You can see that between the 78 and the 77 out there on the racetrack. That's Richard Ode, Alex Gates, inside the top 5, and either further back on through the field, there's Truth Hoke in the 55 ride, doing just that. Giving a little bit of real estate, some room in between him and the car in front of him. Troy Thomas, the Nitrous Cowboy, following suit, doing the same thing. All these drivers on the same page right now, front to back, as we continue to run 24 cars of fast and furious action right here from Talladega. Let's go ahead and check in with the YouTube.com live chat for the first time this morning. Cody checking in the live track, or the live chat, excuse me, and also out there on the racetrack. Daniel Hewitt, good to see you. He says, I love you, Alex Gates. Alex Gates is going to win. Love the confidence. If you're currently watching with us, sound off. Let us know who you're rooting for. We'll shout you out and get your favorite driver some extended screen time as well. So appreciate, wow, got a good amount of you guys turning out here for this special event race. Appreciate all of you joining us for the ride here at Racers Elite Network. Some of the biggest movers of this race thus far, the man at the point. Ooh, that was an odd one as he kind of gets forced out of line there. He's going to open the door for the 19 to retake the lead, or excuse me, that could be the first time Cody Benelli leads. And you see how much momentum the 45, that Chevrolet, lost when he went to the outside of that preferred lane right now, which is ripping the bottom. Lost about 5-6 miles an hour, had a space to drop back in line. He's going to get picked up there by another bow tie driver, and that's going to allow Cody Benelli to lead for the first time as he's up 6 positions from where he started. The 33 of Cole Larson, similar story, 7 spots since the drop of the green flag. Your biggest mover of the race, still that 45 machine, up 12. North of 10 positions gained. The 77 of Gates, even with the board, rolled off P5, currently resides in 5th. JD doing things out of Oregon. Driver of the 98 rockin' vodka Ford F-150. We're not in the F-150, but he's in the dark horse, doing a great job, up 6 positions. And the Napa Know-How man, up 4. A lot of these drivers, some of them, the other side of the story is they start this race and they filter to the back of the field. Drivers like San Filippo, who's lost 13 positions, not because that car is underperforming, just because he feels like it's safer in the back of the pack when the big one unloads. And realistically, you got about a 50-50 shot. Some drivers, they funnel to the back like I tend to do, depending on The setup that we're running, this is a fixed setup. The car is going to behave a little bit differently versus an open set race, and I do take that into consideration. However, Sanfilippo thinks that's the best, safest bet for him, as he's going to go ahead and drop to the back. Brian LaPratt lost 18 spots here, and again, as he runs the tail car right now in that 23rd place position, waiting patiently for that big one to unfold, and hopefully he can keep himself out of it. When it comes to crunch time, you'll see that machine make its way towards the front. Michael Prince, one of those drivers that decided, hey, it's best if I'm out front leading this piece, stay in front of the mayhem. That's why you see some of the bigger gains here, as we just talked about him moments ago. 22 laps on the board. We're going to step aside, take our first break. We'll be right back with all the high-flying, high-octane racing action. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. Good morning, race fans. Welcome back to Talladega, Alabama. Here on the iRacing side of the virtual scene. 24 cars, blocked, loaded, rip it. Conveyor belt style here from the beautiful state of Alabama. As we go 100% the distance here, 188 laps live on Racers Elite Network to kick off your Bald Eagle Sunday, or your Talladega Day as I like to call it. Cody Benelli currently carries the torch in that 19 machine, in that dark horse Ford Mustang. Let's go ahead and get the ticker back up on the screen for you folks following along at home. Ladies and gentlemen, I do apologize. I have to go put my dad hat on for one moment. I will be right back. Look at that sub chick out the window at over 200 miles an hour. Good luck getting a good look at that one, buddy. That could have been a beef cow, for all you know. Hard to get a good look at the fans in the stands when you're going that fast. However, these guys try to keep it lively out there. Pit stops now becoming part of the conversation as you hear the in-car radio chatter come back to life. Now that's some strategy there. Great to hear the excellent communication between these drivers. That's how you know you got a good group of individuals out there on the radio or out there on the racetrack utilizing that radio, the assets that you have to communicate with the field. Obviously, here at Talladega, Daytona, even the new hybrid Atlanta, you're going to want to have a battle buddy, a dance partner to pit with, especially under green flag conditions. As being a one-man army, not the way to get it done, because you're going to need a lot of time out there on the racetrack. Sorry for there. One of the drivers serving up the poo-poo platter. And sometimes that'll happen when you decide to take a peek behind the scenes. I do apologize for that language being used there, because these drivers try to keep it lively and entertaining. Down there on the racetrack is green flag pit stops just around the corner. Interesting to see some of these cars in the back starting to widen things out just a little bit, to go too wide here, because you can't pit from that top wing. You don't want to do that. Red Bull Rocket leads the charge in that Camaro on the high side. You can hear the drivers reacting to the speeds as they're trying to turn it down a little bit. Stretch that payload in the fuel cell just a little bit longer. In fact, for the time being, I think we're going to go ahead and cut that race audio chatter. And when it comes back down, we'll go ahead and re-enable that for you folks later on in this race. All right, great plan. Elmer's telling me we're going to do that next commercial break. I like that idea even better, because we'll have to cut from coverage to do that. All right. Thank you, Elmer. Elmer behind the scenes here helping me with the switches. Want to thank him for all the work and all the help. You guys see what that outside lane did there? Austin Smith took it to the house. He engaged the flux capacitor, and that's the power of the high side of the racetrack. Hey, don't hit that button. Getting really aggressive here. Well, I shouldn't say aggressive, but we're starting to get a little spicy here. He had no idea that guy was going to sneak up on him, pulling a little Kevin Harvick move from the past. Mr. Where did he come from? That Toyota saying, hey, if you can do it, I can do it too. Corey Crowell, of course, in the 20. 20's got to get down to the bottom of the racetrack. Kind of surprised here to see the excitometer get dialed up here in this race, especially with pit stops looming. But then again, oh, don't do that. Ooh, almost had our first incident of the day. That Steve Park inspired, at least looks like the Pennzoil color or car of the old there. I believe that's Nesquik on board that Chevrolet. Tried to get down, thought he had a lane. He didn't. That was plugged up, and was able to see it and react to it at the last moment. However, that TRD-powered machine of Corey Crowell able to get down to the bottom out of Arbor, Ohio. Joshua Neal up 21 positions. Your leader up 2-0. Brandon Puffenstuff there in third, able to do so as well. Or excuse me, Puffenbarger. Let's look at all the guys that were in the rear with the gear. Decided it was time to come to the point right before green flag pit stops, and I like that move later on in this race. You always run a little bit of a risk, though, doing that early. However, it worked out well for these guys. The play here is, hey, as everyone's coming down to pit road, let's get to pit road first and execute and keep ourselves and maintain this track position. 19 now on the radio, calling out he's going to be coming down. Let's get ready for green flag pit stops, and this is just as important, if not more important, than how you're out there on the racetrack. Drivers like Truth Hoke in the 55 ride, the Alex version still in that outside lane. Perhaps they feel they've saved enough fuel they can go an additional lap or two, perhaps. Here goes. Everybody's going to be a madhouse, a mad dash to pit road. Oh, a little bit of tire smoke there out of the 33 machine. Don't want to get caught speeding here. One Chevrolet and two Fords have their sights locked on their pit stalls. Cody Benelli, J.D. Larson, Austin Norris in the 7 coming down as well. Service underway on these race cars. Now, most of the time here, you can just take 2 tires here. And oh, wow, I'm surprised to see a 4-tire stop. That's not good. You don't want to do that, especially... Well, that's horrible for Austin Norris there, as he's going to be hung out to dry here, unfortunately, as the 33 is now down and away. And look at the gap. Look at the spacing here. That's not going to benefit these drivers, is you want to be on the same page, because the more tires you take, the more time it takes on pit road. And when you have one guy doing something different, that's just going to break you up on pit exit. Luckily, the 2 Fords got it right. Look, this is Austin Norris here. He's going to hung out to dry. Is the next wave of drivers now on pit road.
25 coming in.
As you hear Alex Teft or Andrew Teft, these group of cars coming by next time, as Christopher Pendle leads the charge off Group B off of pit road. Truth Hoke with a great pit stop there, the 55 ride. Hoke's going to take the lead here on pit road, and he wants to lead this group. You see the change. Oh, and that is catastrophic. A black flag served. Here we go. The final wave. Oh, we got a cluster of cars here. There could have been some contact between the Red Bull machine.
Yeah, but it got me too right.
Head cook, chief, and bottle washer Andrew Teft. Also on pit road as well. Let's see what Teft does here. 2 tires, right sides going on.
What'd you say, Andrew?
I do not get the 4-tire stop here. Maybe you're trying to get that out of the way early. But best thing you can do is take 2 tires each time you come down pit road. These tires, they last a lifetime. They're like Michelin road tires out here on the iRacing side of things, that you just do not have the tire wear at tracks like Talladega in Daytona. Those tires will go north of 100 laps easily. I promise you guys of that. So to optimize your stops on pit road, take lefts the one time. The next time you come down, take rights. But a lot of these guys taking forward, and that's okay too if you have other drivers that are on the same page with you. That's key. Look at the mojo here, the high side of the racetrack. There's Kinsley Smith getting help from the Nitrous Cowboy, Troy Thomas. Kinsley Smith, how many times has he done that to me? He just bails on you. It's so hard to get some of these guys to work with you. Now see, when I'm out there at the racetrack, I remember stuff like that. If I'm trying to help somebody working with a group of cars, that, as Dave Riegel used to call it, the shovel. And that's when you're in the outside lane and that lead car, once you get to the front, dips down and to the bottom lane, kind of leaves you hung out to dry there. That's called the shovel. And I tend to remember those types of things later on in the race, as after our first wave of green flag pit stops, welcome to the front, the man out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, the Hoosier. And look at this advantage these 2 drivers have over the entire group of drivers out there on the racetrack, getting it done 2x2 COT style with the tandem. That is impressive stuff out of Austin Smith and Joshua Neal. However, that big group of cars just behind them being led by Truth Hope, they will run these guys down quick, fast, and in a hurry. In fact, let's look at the closing speed here. In fact, Truth Hope is already there. He has caught them. He's going to take the run. He is. He's going to turn and burn. Keep it lit. Pendle may not be close enough to him. Truth Hope's going to have to side draft here. If not, he's going to stall these guys out, and that's going to happen. 2x2, side by side, Noah's Ark situation. Let's see what Smith decides to do. Kinsley Smith's going to take the run as well, and he's going to blend in and become a 3-car tandem on the high side. Kinsley Smith doing a little bit of puddle hopping right now, just using that run, finding holes where he can slot back in. Big time push here from the 23 to the 88. He's going to give him the biscuits and surge him back out to the lead. Truth Oak had a good idea there.
Around me, I'll push you back up there.
He just wasn't able to complete the pass there, and it's going to cost him now as he's going to start losing some positions here. However, has a good pusher behind him in that Mustang being piloted by Christopher Pendle. His teammate Troy Thomas there at his door, and Troy's probably going to let the 55 in, and I see what they did there. Good team strategy. Teammates working together. Pendle's not going to have an opening, an opportunity to get in. Ooh, he got lucky. I thought that Toyota was going to seal that hole. And Brandon Puffenbarger out of Morgantown, West Virginia. Drove through there plenty of times back in my military days when I used to commute from upstate New York to the beautiful state of North Carolina. If you want to go the scenic route, go through West Virginia, the Morgantown area. It's beautiful, especially in the fall. Lots of elevation changes, a lot of stuff to do in that area of the United States. He currently runs in that 10th place position. Fastest lap of the race, turned by the HMFIC last time by a 49.54 as he runs in that 6th place position. .46 laps into this one, approaching the 50 lap mark. These drivers doing a really good job on this first round of green flag pit stops. I thought we'd have a little more separation in this field than what we currently have. However, we have two main groups of race cars. The first one being led by Austin Smith's in that 2nd place position. Kinsley Smith there as well. Strong cars here at the front of this piece. Then you have our second group, or Group B, being led by Pendle. Remember, he kind of got hung out there a little bit, and it cost him the ability to hang out with that lead pack. The second group is coming. You see the speeds on Pendle's car. In fact, he's going to get a big run here. Almost 200 miles an hour into the turns 3 and 4 complex. Watch what happens to the speed on that race car as he starts to feel the draft being picked up from the Nitrous Cowboy. Just in front of him, Troy Thomas. In fact, let's go on board with Pendle. Thomas just went fastest lap of the race. Watch the speed on Pendle once he starts to get the benefit of the draft of Group A. He's within range now. You see that speed starting to react now, 198. He's going to get over 200 here. Oh, he caught it into the corner. That might not get us there. If that was on the straightaway, that would have been 202, 203 perhaps. But look at the run. Look how quick he was able to bring that group and merge them with that first group of race cars as that now dissolves into one, and he's going to think about taking the run there. Thought better of it. Christopher Pendle, right on cue, goes fast lap of the race of 49.17. It's the magic of the draft. It's a beautiful thing when it works right. So that's going to give us now our first, I believe it's going to be the top 17? Top 18 drivers in this first group of cars. Kirby Wayne Scott picks up the caboose roll here in that Toyota. Then you have about 5 seconds back to this next group of race cars, 3 cars here, a little bit of a mixed bag. You got 2 Chevrolets and a Mustang here, so the Ford is in the sandwich. That being Gates, Benelli, and Larson, the Cole version, not Kyle, out of Oregon. Then when you go back to 22nd, you're going to find Austin Norris, J.D. Larson, and I believe that's Too Fast Terry out of Savannah there. And it is in the 50. As they round out. And Benelli's right. Those temperatures do not like being pushed all the way around this racetrack. With the latest updates to this race car, the temperatures are going to increase exponentially quicker than they used to. You have to pay attention to that. That dash is going to turn red at 288 degrees. And if you're lucky, you can stretch that to about 301, 302 before she goes Old Faithful mode and blows up to smithereens. It also takes longer to cool this race car down than it used to. So when it comes time to lay the hammer to the back of that race car in front of you, and you want to push for all you're worth, you have to monitor those temperatures. You cannot stay locked for an entire lap here at Talladega. Daytona, if you time it perfectly, you can. But I have yet been able to do it here at Talladega in the closing laps, because when you're close quarters to cars in front of you, when you're pushing hard to begin with, your temps are going to be a little bit hotter on the coolant temperature side and on the oil side than where they are right now with all these gaps in between them. And you have to remember that later on in the run. If you don't, that can come back to haunt you. And unfortunately, this group of cars is going to go a lap down here as your leader, Neal, continues to lead now out of Fort Wayne. Going to go on by these drivers going to desperately need a caution, which is something that doesn't happen very often here on the Racers Elite side of things, in no stages for the love of God. I'm going to talk about stage racing. It's one of the worst things we could have done. Let's just use the participation trophy logic and say, oh, I'm sorry, you're a lap down. Let's kill a stage. Let's put everybody back together. We'll talk about that for hours, but that's not the time for it. And believe me, I've been on both sides of the coins right there on the racetrack. Pit stops didn't go my way. I go a lap down, and it's not fun.
My bad, 18. You said I was clear. All good.
I don't blame you. Norris on the radio doesn't want to get hung out to dry, doesn't want to take that elevator to the rear with the gear. How about Kirby Wainscott? Racers Elite Colors on board. The 10 in shape always seems to have a knack. The spark out of Kentucky for being there when it counts. He's just biding his time right now. He's out there on a Sunday drive, just logging laps, doing what he needs to do. The 12 as well there. Started up front, took it to the back, that being San Filippo. A lot of these drivers just kind of hanging out, riding. Want to take a moment to, hey, let's shout out Race Control for once. How about Chantel? Shout out to her for all she does up there. Timing, making sure, policing these drivers out there on the racetrack, making sure caution flag flies when it needs to. Also, watching for any shenanigans out there on the racetrack and on pit road. There's a lot of different ways you can kind of manipulate things for the performance advantage. She's got the binoculars on it. Want to shout her out. Appreciate everything that she does here in Racers Elite. Oftentimes puts that RC hat on here. Cannot thank her enough for all of her efforts. In fact, you know what? We got time. Plenty of it. Let's jump in Race Control here. See if they left the back door open. Chantel, Matt up in the booth, you got a copy. Chantel, Matt up in the booth, you got a copy. You know, something that I never do, but we have a lot of time here this morning, getting into the early afternoon. Want to thank you, and I just did on the over the air, but I figured we got time. I'm going to stop in race control and just thank you for everything that you do behind the scenes for this series. A lot of times we put these drivers out there on the racetrack. It's you up there, keeping the fine eye on these guys out there under competition. So I want to thank you for everything that you do under green flag conditions right now. For some of the newcomers here to iRacing or some of the viewers at home, what are you looking for? What are you watching out there under green flag conditions on the racetrack? Absolutely, 100%. Just want to stop in here and get your feedback and all the things that you do over the course of a 188-lap event. If I see anything interesting on the racetrack or any things that we may have questions about later out of the race, I'll stop back and utilize you. Appreciate everything you do once again, and have a great rest of the run.
Thanks, Matt.
Appreciate you. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, the voice of the one and only Chantel, keeping an eagle's eye on this field, as we're now 57 laps into the history books of this 188-lap special event right here on Racers Elite Network. Probably does, is that'll happen. It'll give you a pretty good reverb effect if you're watching the stream or watching the race broadcast through the same or a headset. It can actually get picked up by a very sensitive microphone and create that jet wash, that jet sound effect that you hear these drivers talking about. Heck, it even happens up here in the broadcast booth sometimes, to be quite frank. What's Kinsley Smith doing? That's an odd spot to see Smith in. I can find it. There he is. Up there, top shelf, all by himself. Ah, that tells the story. Kinsley Smith's going to take the one-way ticket to the back here. If Smith's doing it, he's doing it for a reason. That's Benelli on the radio. Cody in the 19, and he may have lost the draft. Let's see if these two drivers, if they're smart, they'll let Benelli catch back up to him. They are stronger with 3 cars than versus 2. Kind of the I help you, you wash my back, I'll wash yours, or it's okay to 3-way. Talking about race cars on the racetrack, 3 cars faster than 2. Oh, and they are going to just leave him. I feel your pain, 19. Get on the radio, man. Try to sell it. If you're listening to the broadcast, get on the radio. Sell it to those guys in front of you. Come on. It works 50% of the time. Oh, that's heartbreaking, though, for that 19. And this is where you wish you had stages, but like I said, folks, it's one or the other. You can't really sit there as bad as you want to and play the card both ways. You either want stages or you don't want stages. Oh, that's horrible for Cody. Still has a long way to go here. Anything and everything can happen at Talladega. We all know that. I know it's been pretty lean, mean, and clean through the first 61 laps, but that can change quick, fast, and in a hurry. Now Cody's going to have to hope, pray something produces a yellow flag before he goes a lap down, or if he does, would like to be the first car lap down. And you can see the speed difference here. That car in that second place position right now, and that's not even a great example, 187 miles an hour. Now let's go back to Cody, who's all by his lonesome, 178, 79 miles an hour. So you see that speed differential. And that's not even getting pushed. We've seen speeds have up to 199 miles an hour so far today. And that's the price you pay if you lose the draft at Talladega. You're going to feel like he has 100 horsepower less than everyone else. The RPMs are going to come down a lot. And no, it does not help you on the fuel mileage, because when you're in the draft, you share that drag coefficient with all the other cars that you're working with, so there's less drag. You're running slower, lower RPM, but now you have to punch that hole in the air by yourself. That increases drag, which increases how much power you need to maintain that forward momentum. In return, you use more Sunoco racing fuel. So even being out there by yourself slower, you're still going to use more go fast. Ooh, Pendle just got loose there in the 94, up in that 7th place position. Check back into the youtube.com live chat. Radio is up all the way, my friend. In fact, you know what we'll do if we go back to race control? Thank you for that. We'll go ahead and add a little bit of a decibel gain to that channel, as that's something we often don't do. Big Dalton in the house. Come on, Norris. Only 21 positions to catch up. Roger Gates checking in. Carry the name of Corporal Hunter. One of 13. Oh, that is tragic. Roger Gates, appreciate you taking care of our brothers and sisters in arms. Something I think would be cool, perhaps here in the series, that we can do like in real life. Put the names of our fallen, our soldiers, our veterans on the race car for some of these featured events. Appreciate you being here, Roger Gates. The 19 machine and the soft off-white paint job is clean. I agree, Ryan, 100%. In fact, Roger, I'm going to go ahead and pin that comment into the chat. I couldn't agree with you more. There it is, has been pinned. I go back trackside. Oh, my heart just sank. I thought it just said the stream disconnected. We don't want any of that. Oh, whew, thank God. Joshua Neal still leads here under green flag conditions at the lap 65 mark. Being the only one man up here in the booth, I'm going to step aside again. We're going to do another all-out crank it up break right here on Racers Elite Network. Grab that dial. Go ahead, crank it up right here with us. Let's do this thing. Welcome back to Talladega, race fans. 76 laps now written in the history books as the 45 ride up 15 positions. Getting help from one of the Shake and Bake boys, the Napa Know-How man, Kensley Smith up 9 and 2nd. And San Filippo, I told you, he would not be in the back the entirety of this race, and here he is up to 3rd, deciding it was time to push the button. Starting to get a little dicey here. Seeing some life out of these guys. First 76 laps or so, just kind of taking it easy. Before we get to 188, it is going to be a high-octane thrill ride out there on the racing surface. I can assure you of that. Kensley Smith now doing probably some of the most pump drafting or pushing we've seen all race long, and look at the little bit of that boost. Oh, don't do that. Oh, God. Oh, Michael Prince, that was not a good time to hit the flux capacitor. That was the don't stain your ride, use time moment of the race, brought to you by Michael Prince. It's the next time at 15 if Kensley Smith comes down pit road. He's going to need some scented candles, a Tide stick, and probably some wet naps. That's like the worst thing that can possibly happen. The point guy vanishes from existence. Oh. Kensley Smith had to have a lot of faith that he was going to pop back in, because the last thing you want is that guy you're pushing to all of a sudden come back from the past and be in the same cockpit with you, because one car is going to go space shuttle status and the other one, well, might end up the size of the cube out there on the racetrack after all is said and done. In real life, you have the big thing that you have to deal with physically. Here on the iRacing side of things, it's not the realism of the crash itself, thank God, but that's about as close as you're going to get to it right there. When the car disappears on the racetrack, you have no idea where they are, where they're going to reappear. And when they do, iRacing takes over with all their physics and all the punishment it will unleash should he make contact with another individual, and it can wreck you and a lot of other competitors' afternoon. Look at that outside lane starting to get some boogie under the hood. Richard O. Martin Truex Jr. Oh, don't delay. You got to come down. There you go. One of the biggest mistakes you can make is hesitating from the top to the bottom there. Oh, look at the squeeze job. He side drafted him so hard, he shot Oak down to the flatlands. I wonder if that was a bit of net code there, the way that car reacted. That was wild. Let's wind that back. Why not? Going to go VHS mode here. I'm not sure if it was net code or if the force was that strong from that side draft. That was wicked. Watch this. I'm going to freeze frame it right here, folks. Let's see if I can get...
You're really only just killing everybody by doing that?
You hear him on the radio not happy about it. See if I have a zoom camera here, if I can zoom this in.
Nothing new there.
There we go. Watch this. Watch the way this car reacts when the 9 throws the side draft here. This is crazy. At quarter speed. I mean, it throws them right down off the racing surface, and then the 45 has no idea it's going to happen, almost ends up turning the 78 back up into the outside lane. That is insane. It almost kind of looks like netcode. I've never seen a side draft have that much of a reaction here. Whoa, those guys are lucky. Wow. We go back to the live side of things. That was almost the big one there, folks. The wick was lit. Unfortunately, it was a dud, thank God. Because you would have uncorked the big one at the front of this piece. That would have affected a lot of race cars. That's about as close as you can get. Andrew Teft was in the middle there. Kind of caught in the bear's cage. Now he gets help from his brother, Teft, the Alex version. You know, I don't think there's more of a silent but deadly individual in the 43. I mean deadly on the scoring pylon. He just knows how to make his way to the front. At times we've seen it this past week, in fact. Kind of just falls off the radar, goes stealth mode, and then all of a sudden he's leading this thing in the late stages of this race. And you got the Teft brothers leading the top shelf of the racetrack. 43 doing all the heavy lifting, pushing the dark horse. Almost going to get up alongside. You see the 43 out there getting some air to the front of that race car, trying to cool it down. Let's jump on board with Alex Teft. You see when he releases from the back of that Mustang, that bottom lane, they're nicely organized down there. Going to surge back ahead now in the 43. Lays the business from the back door of that Mustang. They should surge back forward. A little bit of a side draft there from the 43. That'll help. That throws the air brake on the bottom lane as well. And of course, fitting. It happens all the time, but one time you go on board, it doesn't necessarily work as well as it's supposed to. There we go. There it's come out and coming back. That bottom lane disorganizes just a little bit. And again, only 84 laps on the board. Probably not going or doing it to the extreme. But you can still get a little bit closer with that side draft. Teft now deploying the air brake. You can see what that does. He threw the air brake on him, and that just checked him right up. And then that energy surges and transfers a little bit to that outside lane. And here they come. Kind of testing the waters for later on in this race. There you go. Teft was a little bit of a side draft there, and boom. And here comes the energy, the push from the 43. That's how you do the bump and grind right there. There's a hole there to the bottom. I don't think he would bail on his brother, at least right now anyhow. Getting a little bit of drafting 101 there from the Teft brothers. Now remember, the 19 unfortunately lost that lead draft, or the lead lap cars, a bit ago. Cody Benelli up to 9th place. And I believe that was the 19 that lost the draft. And he's currently on the lead lap in 9th. Or was 9th just moments ago. In fact, he's going to gain a spot here as the Teft boys get separated. Truth Hope there as well. The 55 ride. Him and his dance partner, Troy Thomas, in the 3. Separated. Actually, no longer separated. The 3 and the 55 are nose to tail, stem to stern here. Kirby Wainscott and Till on the bottom. Going up against 2 Chevrolets and the Ford on the high side. Now he's talking about Richard O in the 78 machine. And I can... Now, when you're two cars like this, it is tough to get or to break that air bubble around that car in front of you. If you have a car coming behind you, it's almost night and day different. But right here, there's two ways to do this. Either the 7 can either lift off the throttle slightly. I'm talking about going from 100% right now in two cars. You're not running 100% wide open in the draft. But in this situation, that 7 can go from, let's say, 100% throttle to 92 to 90%. And that 78 will break through that bubble. And then once he pierces the veil, if you will, he's going to go back to 100% as that Toyota makes contact with the rear of that race car. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it, you got to be careful that you don't bleed off too much speed, is that's drag the brake a little bit. And that's something you want to practice doing, preferably not under race or green flag conditions, but he can drag the brake while keeping his RPMs up and check that car up to the back of that 78. Or you can do it the way that I like to do it at times, especially if I don't have someone necessarily experienced with drafting, is this 78 can back off of that race car just before he gets into the corner, about 4 to 5 car lengths, maybe not 5, but 4 car lengths, then drop the hammer and pick him up as they exit the turn, and he'll have enough momentum to punch through and get back to the bumper of that 7. You cannot do it holding him wide open. And there he goes right there. That's exactly what he needed to do, but they made contact and he pushed him back out too far in front of him. That's the other side of this, the slinky effect. You bonk him too hard and you're going to push him back out of bumper's reach. These two trying to do the dance, figure it out, or perhaps they're just happy right now running 187 miles an hour. But it is challenging, especially with the new updates to this next gen, to get two cars hooked up. You're not going to be able to do it just by both cars holding the pedal wide open. Now you add a third car behind them, it's an all different story. Take what I said, throw it out the window. That third car will push you right up there, 9 times out of 10. Brits out there driving like it's 1999 in the 45 ride. That Napa paint scheme will take you back to 2001. A year that a lot of us remember if you're an old school NASCAR fan. I can't believe I'm saying that now, old school NASCAR fan, but that's what it is. Still gives me chills, still thinking about it all those years ago it happened. Seeing the last lap of Daytona 500. At 15 paint scheme, every time I see that out on the racetrack, still to this day, the minute I see it, it takes me right back to 2001. Automatically. I just go there. I'm sure there's a lot of you out there like that. But nonetheless, that car, when it was in late race configuration with that paint scheme on it, that was a weapon of speed. And Kinsley Smith does that paint scheme justice every time. Or he drives it proudly, I should say, as he's always a factor in these races. Anytime you put Kinsley Smith on the racetrack. Dale in the 9 round. Casey Kane throwback, of course. Back to Everham Motorsports. The only thing different is it's on a Chevrolet versus a Dodge, but you really can't select that. There's only 3 manufacturers currently in the Cup Series. Well, in fact, all 3 series. There's been some chatter about Dodge coming back, coming to the Truck Series, coming back. We'll see. You know what? Maybe I can help him out and send him a message, but actually I can't do that because then it would kind of disrupt the broadcast. You would see the message bar come up and everything else, but maybe under commercial break, we're still like that. Obviously, Richard in the 7 trying to some communication there that he wants to go. He's trying to get a push. Again, JD just not getting that transmission, or excuse me, Austin Norris not getting that transmission as he's having radio problems. You see him trying to swerve, get his attention, try to signal to that other car, hey, we're not doing what we need to be doing right now. And to be fair, sometimes you kind of just get locked into I don't want to say a dead stare, but you kind of almost...
Richard, come by. You need to do what we can do.
Whoa. See, that's what I'm talking about. That 7 is kind of caught in a daze there. You've seen him react to that 78 coming by him. Now he's awake. He's woke up now. When you're out there just running kind of by yourself like this, it can happen. You kind of, not that you black out, you just kind of lose focus or what currently is the objective at hand right now. You're just kind of running there and kind of fade off a little bit. I think the 78 got his attention, and Richard O. See if they can get teamed up. Well, they're going to work at it. From the back to the front, from the front to the back. Lap 96 on the board, 188. The scheduled distance, we do have overtime in our back pocket. Should we have to go green-white checkered mode to get this one in, Racers Elite will make every attempt to finish this race under green flag conditions. Should we not get a natural checkered flag at the end of the scheduled 188 laps. Roger Gates says it's on the 77 for this event. Appreciate you guys sounding off, being a part of the stream here in the youtube.com live chat. If you want to help the network out, do us a favor. Smash the like button, ring the bell. That way you'll get notified each and every time Racers Elite is covering all the high-fly and high-octane racing action. And a lot of times throughout the course of the month, 7 days of iRacing action. You heard that correctly. 7 days of iRacing action. You smash that button, you'll get notified each and every time we are live in prime time. Clearly, you can see the sense of urgency has dialed down on the racetrack, folks. And again, this is what the seasoned veterans do. They understand the name of the game here. A lot of the time, most of this race is just going to be to survive. The draft is going to pretty much keep everyone within arm's reach of each other. As long as you go out there, don't hit anyone or anything. And don't make a mistake on pit road under green flag conditions. When you approach lap 160, 170, when it's time to get rowdy, you're going to be right there and have a good shot as long as you're within arm's reach of the leader. And if you do what I just said, 9 times out of 10, that will be the case. Let's go through the field. Your leader, Michael Pritz in the 45. Beautiful looking Red Bull car out there on the racetrack. I like that scheme. I haven't seen that one yet. He is your leader. Kinsley Smith, the Tarboro, North Carolina man, in second. Dale doing Dale-like things in the 9 ride. In third, that's your podium. San Filippo started in the back out of Jacksonville, my old stomping grounds. Runs in fourth while Pendle, the Christopher version, rounds out the top 5. Where is the Dr. Pepper car, buddy? Can't believe he changed it. He switched it to Pepsi. That car looks so good Thursday night. But I get it. You got to keep it lively. You got to keep it entertaining. Kendall looking to have a good run here. Is Andrew Teff, the first driver on the outside of the top 5 looking in. Racers Elite Special as always. Gates currently resides in 7th place for that 77th number. Thank him for your pick 3 lottery numbers tonight. Should he win, you owe him a 25% gratuity. So thank Gates for 777 as your pick 3 numbers for Sunday. Alex Teff in the 43 is up leading at 1 point, still 14 positions to the good, biggest mover of the race in 8th. While Cole Larson, not Kyle Larson, out of Oregon, Illinois, even with the board in 9th. While the fastest elderly driver in iRacing, and I'm not saying that, usually it's on the back of his race car somewhere. Elderly driver. In fact, it might be on that paint scheme. We can jump on board with Drew Cope, who's in 11th place to get a better look. But most of the time it's there. Let's see if it is. It's not just me at a firing off the seat of my pants here. And let's go to the nose. There it is, elderly driver. Right there, you can't miss it. And he's got the brushless 550 motors on that wheelchair that out there on the racetrack. He is getting it right now. Truth hope. love seeing an elderly driver on the back of his race car. Often, especially as of recent. He's found a way to put it in victory lane a couple times here. Kirby Wade Scott up 13 positions. Now finds himself knocking on the back door of the top 10 and 12. A little bit of a gap here. Back to Cody Benelli in that 13th place position. Norris keeps trying to get answers out of Richard, and old Richard just can't respond to it. I don't know if Richard has a spotter, but you would think if he did, they'd be able to get some kind of communication going there, but that happens at times. As Aaron Roth in the 57, even with the board out of Nebraska, weather has gotten lively there over the past couple weeks, I'll tell you that. In 14th, and Brian LaPratte in the 101, the Michigan man. How's that your top 15? Austin Smith from Burlington in the 23. He's got his J's on his feet. Another Red Bull car out there. Corey Crowell rounds out your top 20. A lot of drivers here from the upper north or upper Midwest and Northeast in this race. I don't know if he heard you there, Norris, but hopefully maybe he does. And start talking about swapping when their driver doesn't know it. Sometimes could lead to trouble. Puffin Barker in the 5 out of Morgantown, West Virginia. Inside the top 20 and 18. Paul Shaw in the 82. That's your top 19. Joshua Neal, who led earlier in this race out of the Hoosier state of Indiana, in 20th. Then you have the final 2 cars out there on the racetrack trying to get synced up on the micro communication side of things, and that's Richard Ode and Austin Norris, who pulls caboose duty right now in 22nd. Unfortunately, J.D. Larson is going to be a lap down in 23rd. However, he is with that lead draft pack. Oh, look at Tep force his way in there. My goodness. Woo! I'm surprised he was that adamant about shoving that car down. You know what that tells me, folks? Looking at another wave of pit stops coming. Caught that just in time as we were talking about J.D. Larson, of course. And then there's Terry Fettel, who is off the racetrack, completing just 73 laps. So he'll be the first car to take a DNF here. 24 took the initial green flag. 23 currently out there on the racetrack at the 105 lap mark. 188 the scheduled distance. Now we're getting down to the time steadily going to see an uptick in the aggression on the racetrack from here on out. And then make sure you have all your final preparations done. Grandma, make sure you got your life alert in one hand. Make sure you have your PBR in the other. In fact, grab that cup holder. Last time you ended up throwing it all over me. Especially when Kensley Smith's out there. She gets really amped up. Yes, I'm talking about you. Always my co-pilot. Anytime I'm here with the broadcast, got the broadcast headset on. P-Cars, top shelf of the racetrack on the high side. Little forward on bow tie action. Right outside of Tef, that looks to be Ross. It is, or Roth, excuse me, in the 57. Who is in that Mustang? Showing an 18, I believe, on the race car. Timing and scoring is giving me a different number, so a little bit of a confliction there from what you folks are seeing at home, and I apologize for that, but sometimes that can happen if you load a custom number paint, and that's not the number you're assigned in the league. Andrew Teft now on the outside lane again, after he forced himself back down to the bottom. As he's giving the business now to the 9 giving him a shove. Aaron Roth there in the 57. Let's jump on board with Roth. .195 miles an hour, 96. You're starting to see what happens to the speeds when the intensity on the racetrack picks up. Cars are closer proximity to each other. That means there's less drag. Speeds increase on the racetrack. Look at the shot on the outside lane here. Good teamwork, boys. Tef's going to squirt down to the bottom. There's the shovel, as Regal likes to call it. And now it's all up to Aaron Roth. Doing the heavy lifting as Teft comes up to lend a hand, or a bumper in this case. Let's see if... Oh, don't do it! Don't do it! Oh! If I was that Chevrolet on the top side of the racetrack, I'm madder than a Keebler elf that got demoted to Fudge Packer. You help someone get to the lead, they bail on you. And I know that's plate racing, it happens, but if I see you late in the race, I'm doing everything I can not to help you, even if that means me not winning. I am not going to push you late in the race. You do that to me. I'm sorry. Now, if it's team strategy or something else, different story. But and look what that did to the outside lane. I mean, they just lost all their juice there. Now we're 3 wide, not where you want to be, especially if you're that Chevrolet, the 51. Oh, no. Oh, my. He got lucky. Woo. Roth, I don't think you realize how close Alex Gates was to you. He had to back off the loud pedal a ton. He could have drove right through you and ended your day, buddy. Remember, there's not a rule that says, hey, if someone throws a block, I know it wasn't a block, but comes down in front of you, there's not a rule that says you have to lift. If that was lap 180, that would have been a much different story. And again, these cars, you lose so much energy. Uh-oh. Driver displeased there, getting caught speeding on pit road. 15. That's going to be Kensley Smith, due to come down pit road next time by. 12 as well. You hear the radio starting to light up.
77.
I'll go silent here as the radio comes to life. Here they come, the first wave. Kensley Smith Going to be very aggressive here. You got to get slowed down to 55 miles an hour. Didn't see any tire smoke, hopefully. No one got popped speeding. Oh, Kinsley Smith showing 60. Is it 65? Hopefully that telemetry is wrong.
94 in.
I thought it was 55 miles an hour.
101 coming in.
And again, there could be a little bit of a telemetry discrepancy there. As Kinsley Smith in his box getting service on his race car. San Filippo down and away in the 12. Alex Gates as well. Prince. Get single file, guys. Get it sorted. Follow me. There you go. Drop the hammer. You don't want to lose that group of cars in front of you. Kinsley Smith now probably is going to back up here just a little bit, and he does. And this is one of the things that makes Kinsley Smith so lethal at plate racing. Look at how he commanded and conducted this group of cars to tighten up on the exit of pit road. These guys are listening to the broadcast, which is a great thing. Some of them do. But look what Kinsley Smith just did there. He was the maestro, the ringleader of the circus, and knew to check up coming down pit road. That's going to bunch these race cars up together, and that's how you translate it to speed on pit exit. And already, almost 190 miles an hour, these guys should have a nice lead when all is said and done, unless another group of cars can do it better. Is now Larson, Troy Thomas, Truth Hope, Paul Shaw, down pit road. Two tires going on that Ford Mustang. Let's see if they take four here. That Mustang is and up. Luckily, he is down and away as he got in that pit stall a little sooner than the Nitrous Cowboy. Now, let's see here what Benelli does. Or, excuse me. Troy Thomas is there. Larson, he's way too far out ahead. He needs to start backing up to these guys. And see, that's the difference. And not saying that there's anything wrong with these guys. No, well, he just... Well, perhaps he's seen that group of cars coming and knew the pack was there and just decided, hey, it's better for me to just send it, get to the high side of the racetrack. Oh, I don't know. He's going to... Oh, I don't know if that was the right move there. Because he is going to lose the draft here. Only 0.6 of a second. He is flirting with it right now. Wow, he's going to hang on. Great job. And that may have been the saving grace for that pack of race cars, or perhaps that Mountain Dew machine. But Troy Thomas is going to hang on here as well. But if they didn't have that pack of race cars there, they would have lost a lot of time with how they exited pit road disorganized like that. We now wait the final wave of cars to come down pit road. Is your leader. Currently the 9. Richard O coming up to speed there. I believe had to, almost Kevin LePage the field and not by choice. What was I saying about Kinsley Smith and company? I agree, Benelli. I didn't want to point the camera on him and just talk negative about him there. But, I mean, that's not what I'm here to do, but he could have handled that a little bit better. I agree. But the guys that were with the 15 on that pit stop right there in the front, and Smith right now going to back up to that outside lane, just like he always does in this portion of the race, 9 times out of 10. Kensley Smith thinking the big one's going to be coming here sooner than later, and I agree with it. He's getting back there with the right group of cars he feels like he needs to be with, and if that means giving up spots on the racetrack, that man will do it. He knows how to get to the front better than anybody, and he basically gave away 14, 15 spots out there on the racetrack? Maybe not that many, but gave up a lot. But that's what confidence and experience does. And in fact, look at Prince back there as well. Led a lot of laps here at this race. Finds himself now in that 13th place position. Something tells me Prince is going to be going with him when the time comes. But now, after a wave of green flag pit stops at speeds of 190 miles an hour, Belliquet carries the torch here at Talladega. Chevrolet and Ford, 1 and 2, followed by another Chevrolet. In fact, it's Chevrolet Ford, or Bowtie Blue Oval, however you want to put it. First Toyota in line. Alex Teft in that number 43 machine. Single file here at Talladega as the still before the hurricane presents itself here on the racetrack. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and grab some water, do what I need to do to make sure I'm ready for game time to carry all the sights and sounds when this race really dials it up here in the near future. We'll step aside for one more commercial break. Then we'll be here live, continuous coverage to the checkered flag, post-race reactions, and more right here on Racers Elite Network. Stick around. Don't go anywhere as it gets ready to go big on the racetrack shortly.
Here at TWRS, we're always here to help our squad when they need a little push in the right direction. That's just who we are. We're a beautifully diverse group of goofballs dedicated to driving fake race cars as fast as possible. And we continue to push each other to the front using the power of nonsense. We have one of the strongest NASCAR programs on the service, and you can access it all for $24.99 a month. And we just released individual subscriptions for $14.99 a month for each NASCAR vehicle. We also just added a Rallycross program, and our IndyCar program is taking off as well. So come join the weird side. We have speed and cookies. Cookies are not included in some locations. Here at TWRS, we're always here to help our squad when they need a little push in the right direction. That's just who we are. We're a beautifully diverse group of goofballs dedicated to driving fake race cars as fast as possible. And we continue to push each other to the front using the power of nonsense. We have one of the strongest NASCAR programs on the service, and you can access it all for $24.99 a month. And we just released individual subscriptions for $14.99 a month for each NASCAR vehicle. We also just added a Rallycross program, and our IndyCar program is taking off as well. So come join the weird side. We have speed and cookies. Cookies are not included in some locations.
Race fans, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talladega, Alabama. So Racers Elite Next Gen Series special event race to kick Talladega Day off here on the virtual side of the iRacing phase. Troy Thomas, the Nitrous Cowboy, from Boone, North Carolina to the front for the first time this evening. And how iconic having that Good Wrench Chevrolet at the front of this virtual race. After all, Talladega is called Earnhardt Country. Wouldn't that be something special to see the three punches ticket when all is said and done? However, there's 20-plus drivers that have other plans. Head cook chief bottle washer there, Andrew Teft in second. The 9 rod. Been doing a great job of it all day. In fact, that goes for virtually all these drivers currently out there in competition right now, doing a great job. I want to thank all of you for joining us here this morning for an early broadcast as we celebrate all things Talladega today. A split decision there. Now's the point in time you start thinking about as a driver who you want to start working with, where do you want to be. You start making preparations for the final push towards the front. Well, it's a long way around this racetrack. However, under green flag conditions, lap time's just under 50 seconds right now. So the current lap speed's being posted. But not only they're apologizing to a competitor there on the racetrack. A little bit of a tight condition for that race car. Still single file up here at the front of this race. That second lane trying to get some momentum going. We've seen them be successful at times. Good group of cars up there being led by the 20 of Corey Kraut. You watch other Racers Elite action, sometimes you'll see the 20 of Diego Rodriguez. However, Rodriguez drives a Ford, Crowell, drives a a Toyota. Similar color or paint scheme on those cars. So then you got the Red Bull Rocket Austin Smith behind him. There's two more Toyotas. It's my voice starting to check out on me a little bit here, folks, and I do apologize. Also a live DJ in real life, so I do get a lot of mug time between the broadcasting and the primary job. Try to keep it in check here as best I can. It's go time. Two by two, side by side, lanes of high fly, high octane racing action as we approach the lap 140 mark. Some of the ones to watch in this group of cars. I've talked about him a little bit. Kinsley Smith there in the 15th in the outside lane. The other Red Bull machine, Michael Pritz, in that Chevrolet right behind Smith. Troy Thomas, your current leader, knows how to get them plate racing. Andrew Teft, long overdue for a win in the next-gen configuration. He's in second. San Filippo, out of Jacksonville, North Carolina, runs in that 8th place position. Bottom lane, just in front of the 94 Kendall. Some of the ones to watch here in this group. Troy Thomas, or Truth Hope, knows now it is time to go. Only 2 cars.
You need that third car.
Exactly. You need that third car. I agree 100%, Neil. Unfortunately, that third car is by himself. Puffenbarger can use a little bit of Kirby power. Unfortunately, he doesn't have anyone to give him the air assist in that Toyota, who is all by himself. Paul Shaw in 19th. There's a good bit of separation between these two drivers. In fact, they have an eternity. There's over 12 seconds between them. J.D. Larson in 21st, or excuse me, 20th, has lost the lead pack, and that may be the closest competition to help out the 55 situation as they're coming through the tri-oval. I still think we're going to get a caution here. I don't anticipate us going lean, mean, and green at Talladega. And that's not a slam against these drivers at all. They've done a terrific job. 0 cautions for incidents thus far. It's really tough to pull that off, especially when it gets rowdy out there on the racetrack. When everyone starts pushing, fighting for every inch on the racetrack, 9 times out of 10, it's going to happen. And that's what drivers that are outside of this lead group of cars right now need to get back in. The cars are just too far broken up and spaced up out on the racetrack where they can materialize, generate any type of a run to come up here and challenge. So if you want a shot, or as it stands right now, and again, if the caution waves, take what I'm saying, crumple it up, throw it out the window. It's irrelevant. But everyone all the way back to Kinsley Smith, Michael Pritz, and Gates, there in the 77 who better boogie because it's easy to lose this draft in this race car. Your top 14 have a shot. Cole Larson there in the 33, doing a great job of pushing, I might add. In fact, let's look at his telemetry. Larson about 187 there miles an hour. Should get a little bit quicker once he gets the draft again. Compared to Gates, going 193 miles an hour. So you see the difference there. They just don't have the momentum with those two cars. I mean, he's going to have to push the bejesus out of him to get that kind of speed, and you can. The problem is you cannot stay connected. You're going to have to break off to breathe that race car and then re-tandem up, re-weld each other together, and you do lose some momentum during that process. Now, if these guys start racing 2x2 side by side ahead of them, that would help them out. Is there about 3-4 seconds now in back of Gates in that 77? And that margin is continuing to grow. You see the time delta just keeps going the wrong way here. Austin Smith in that 10th place position. Inside of the top 10, doing what he needs to do. Oh, that was almost the big one right there. A lot of times it's how the slinky effect right there. So when you unwind a rubber band or a spring, you release it, all that momentum gets sent to the back. And then it gets, that intense, or that checkup gets multiplied as a 23. Almost obliterates the back. You can still see that checkup still causing havoc. I mean, he had to dial it way up to the high side of the racetrack. He would have knocked the snot out of him. That's what one bad checkup does, and we're single file. See, people are going to start getting greedy here. Not necessarily greedy, but they're going to start forcing the situation, finding smaller holes, stuffing that car down to the bottom. And we still have one green flag pit stop to go. Kirby Wainscott getting a big-time push here from the 15 as they've kind of fallen back a little bit. There's about a 9/10 of a second between Kirby and Austin Smith there in that Red Bull machine. And they are closing the gap. Kirby with a nice shot there from the 15 of Smith. In fact, let's go on board with Kinsley once again here. Pull the telemetry back up there for you. 192 miles an hour. Kirby's going to get a big run here. Instantly right back. That's how quickly you can erase that 9/10 of a second deficit when you have the right opportunities to do so on the racetrack. You have the right people behind you. They know how to push. You have that pack of cars inside a second and a half, and you have that momentum, and then you have all that speed that they've generated from the push when you start to pick up the draft from that next group of cars in front of you. When it goes your way, it's a beautiful thing. They're right back in it now. Again, they do not have enough go fast in the juice box to take them to the 188 lap mark. 7 going to be pitting this time by the money stop about to unfold here at Talladega. 7, Austin Norris. There he goes. You don't want to be by yourself. It looks like he's going to... Remember, he kind of got off cycle a little bit earlier, and he's going to have to come down all by himself. Kinsley Smith calling out on the radio. I can't imagine him coming down by himself. Even if you don't need to pit, he's going to bring people with him. 70-70 you hear on the radio.
I don't know how much you got left. I'm still a few laps.
You know, sometimes it's better to stay out if you have enough cars where you can make some ground out there on the racetrack. I agree with Sam's decision here, or San Filippo's decision there. I'd be going too, given who's coming down pit road already. Pendle's coming. I'm coming right now. Even if I got 5 laps of fuel in the tank, I'm coming right now. Here comes the flying V formation. Beautiful execution. Excellent job attacking pit road. Andrew Teff's going to lead the next group into pit road. Calls it out with some authority. I like it. Let's watch these guys, see if they can do it just how they did the last pit stop. Everyone clustered right up there. Kinsley Smith down and away. Prince down and away. Everyone down and away at pretty much the same time. Now, let's watch the 12 of San Filippo, Kinsley Smith there. Christopher Pendle, let's see if he backs up now. Watch his telemetry here, and he's not accelerating as fast as he possibly can. There he goes. He understands what the deal is here. He's going to get everyone all together here. And now once Kinsley Smith gets to that bumper, he's going to drop the hammer. San Filippo is going to have help from the 45.
You say fall, you gonna fall in line here, or you gonna get out of the way? No, you're
Kinsley Smith in the 94 kind of got away a little too good. But those are 2 strong cars behind him there. They should be able to tandem back up. With Pendle and Kinsley Smith, who should be the effective race leader once we cycle through green flag pit stops, or I would think they would be. Is now we have Austin Smith on pit road, the 20 as well. Let's take a look here to Andrew Teff. They're now working around that 19 machine. Troy Thomas there as well. So he's going to want to clear. Look at Troy Thomas thread the needle. Gets down to the bottom with that Louisville slider maneuver. Now it's up to Kinsley Smith, the Napa know-how man, to get the 94. Bringing the Pepsi-Cola to the front of this pack. A lot of good cars here in this group. Andrew Teff currently being scored in that 6th place position. Kinsley Smith runs in 4th. San Filippo 5th out of Jacksonville. As this cycles after green flag pit stops, Kinsley Smith is gonna be your leader. And if you're a Racers Elite regular, if you're Kinsley Smith, who do you want to see behind you? Who do you want to see in your vicinity? You're looking pretty good in the neighborhood. You got San Filippo in the 12 right behind you. Then you have the head cook chief and bottle washer Teft on the bottom lane there. He's going to have some steam coming. You got the Nitrous Cowboy, the 3 machine Troy Thomas. Drivers that you have a lot of experience racing around. Michael Prince, I don't know him very well personally from a broadcaster's perspective, but he's done a fantastic job this entire race. Cody Vanelli in the 19th. In the 19 ride, he has done a wonderful job getting himself back in this thing. In fact, we just spoke about him. He kind of slid back a little bit here. He took a shuffle just a bit. Some of the regulars, the stars of the Thursday Night Next Gen Series, making themselves known here later on in this race. Is Kensley, a.k.a. Mikey, out there leading as we come towards the close of this race at the virtual Talladega Super Speedway. The push from the 12. Everything's going to start getting more intense now. All is calm, not for long. All these drivers just making deals right now, getting their race car the best situation they feel they can be in for the final push. In fact, if I was these guys, I'd try to get single file right now, try to get away from this next pack of race cars, just to isolate who is eligible to go for the win here. In the 20, he's the tail car there on the bottom as they now bring it to the high side of the racetrack, and I like this move by Kensley Smith. You're going to make him passion, make him go to the bottom of the racetrack, and I know that seems like it's been the preferred lane all race, but I like that idea from Smith. If you're going to make him passion, make them do it on the bottom of the racetrack. Wayne Scott is 5 seconds back with 2 cars. That's not going to be enough to do it. Then you have Cole Larson here with a big-time dive bomb move there from Teft as he's going to try to clear up, and he does. Teft pulls off the kamikaze maneuver, the dive bomb to the bottom, and then back up to clear the 7 as he's going to try to get up there. Now, these guys have 4 cars, but they have a lot of ground to make up. They're 7 seconds behind the twofer, and then 13 seconds plus to Kensley Smith. They're going to have a tough go here, but hey, I know the game plan is always to win these races, but sometimes just coming home, finishing all the laps, getting yourself a top 20 finish is not a bad day. But Alex really starting to dial up the aggression. You can see the anticipation from the cockpit of that race car, the way that car is doing the bob and weave, the jig. You can tell he's up on the wheel, gritting his teeth. He wants to go. So we now send it back to the front. Kensley Smith leads the crazy train, Ozzy Osbourne style here. 38 laps to go. You can see they got single file for the front 4. And you know what? For all intents and purposes, there's enough of a gap between the other cars here. They really don't have to run single file. They've pretty much isolated themselves here, I think, far enough forward, unless we get a caution. And those lifts, those abrupt changes in momentum are going to intensify. open coverage for the final time of the race. Go ahead, crank it up with us right here on Red Line. Excuse me. That's the other network. Racers Elite Network. JD gets in the fence. Alex Teft, of course, being called out there on the radio, deploys the save. The 43. I agree, Truth. You hear the frustration there in the 55. Knows that his opportunity, his chances are dwindling, are fading quickly. And hey, I said earlier, sometimes you gotta sell it on the radio, and at least he's trying to do that. Sanfilippo now, or at least attempt to take it away from Teft. Currently leading. Gonna go John Force style. Team drag race here, coming to the start-finish line. A 4-on-6 action here. 4 cars on the high side. 4-on-5, excuse me. Just 20 laps to go. This next-gen car, sometimes you don't want to be leading on the final lap. So this race car. Not to say you're leading on the final lap, but probably going to have to do a lot of blocking. Got does not want to impact this battle for the lead. Let's get a lap down here with just 19 laps to go. I believe he will be the first car 1 lap down. never been a good thing. 15 laps to go. Troy Thomas lurking in 8th in that iconic number 3 machine. Bear with me here, folks. I'm starting to have some connection issues. Muted my mic there for a little bit, trying to conserve some bandwidth. I think that is stabilized. You hear Roth getting fired up on the radio as he runs in 12th. This group of cars here is coming fast. I mean, they have the afterburner lit. Is there enough time? The 43 of Alex Teft, a speed freak out there on the racetrack. As Cletus McFarland would say, he's got the bald eagles on full screen behind him. And how about Cletus yesterday? 7 cylinders most of the race. In an ARCA event that typically finds a lot of attrition, a lot of cars out of the race, did not have the massive casualties yesterday, and on 7 cylinders, comes home with the top 10. You heard that right. Famous YouTuber owns his own racetrack, nothing like Talladega or Daytona. In just his 2nd stop, finds a way to utilize the track with 7 cylinders to come home with a top 10. That is impressive. Tell you what, I love the effort here from this group of race cars being led by Alex Teft, and they got the right car out front. That Toyota is really good. Well, an open set configuration is really good out there leading. I'm not sure in fixed set. But judging by their speeds, I'm going to say it's working pretty good for them. I just think they're going to run out of time as they continue to close the gap. Now it is under 7 seconds to the back of Troy Thomas. And this group of cars here, they're doing exactly what Alex Teft and company want to see. They want to see them 2 by 2, side by side, and forgetting about it. That's the distance. There comes the wicked locomotive as the 43 gets a back push and almost gets stumped into the fence. What a great heads-up recovery there from 43. That will cost him a little bit of momentum. As now that lead is that difference is north of 7 seconds again. Every little mistake, little miscue they make is going to cost them on the race against the clock. I don't think they're going to have enough time to get there, folks. I just don't see it. Andrew Teft, how many times have we seen him in this situation in the Next Gen Series late in these races? He gets snake bitten an awful lot here at the end of these things. Don't even want to think about invoking the broadcaster's curse. We're going to stop that conversation because that happens all often enough with me. The 55 here to try to get some strategy. Remember, those are team cars. The 55 and the 3. Truth Hope, not a factor for the win. However, could play a factor in helping his teammate. And we've seen that before out of these two. Let's see if the 55 is in position. momentarily as we're single digits laps. We're single digits now to the checkered flag. Gentleman's handshake lap on the board. The hornet's nest is a brewing, folks. 3 wide here. So there's been some discombobulation in that group of cars as Mark's 10. Now the sun goes back to 12. Oh, he's going to get squeezed up into the fence there. Gets skinny. 3 lanes of hot, fast, and furious action. Troy Thomas with his teammate Eaton on the bottom. Well, they're doing the jig here. Around that 7th, 8th, and 9th place position, they get it sorted back to 2 lanes. Ted carries the torch, leads the way. And I know he's your leader, but I don't even want to talk about him. Every time I do, bad things happen at the end of the race. If you've watched any of the Racers Elite coverage, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That Toyota's going to bail off of the racetrack. Actually, we probably shouldn't. Now, we're not going to make that reference given recent events. That's the 5. Here comes San Filippo in the top. In fact, 2 strong ones on the high side. If you're Andrew Teft, you're thinking about what that 15 is going to be. Let's see if the 98 bails on the bottom. Should that time get even with the 23. As we come to 5 laps to go. This cars, you want to start making your, if you want to get a couple positions north of where you are, start doing that now. If you want to make the move for the win, typically that's going to start as you exit. Turn 4. Surge in momentum because remember that start-finish line is down past almost to turn 1. You see that top lane, they're dialing up the slingshot here. They're pulling back on the rubber band. You see those race cars now. Watch where they're going. Watch all this energy transfer to speed and look at the 12 rocket. That's exactly what I'm saying. You want to try to pull that off to that degree at the start-finish line. You want to try to time that just right so you have all that mojo. That line coming to the front at the start-finish line. There's the side draft. Haven't seen a lot of haven't seen that ugly yellow flag. The dark horse continues to dominate the bottom, being powered by Red Bull. Hey, and why not? I guess Red Bull and McDonald's could go together. I'm surprised it's not on the menu. Andrew Teft trying to keep that hot and spicy, blazing in the McDonald's ride. There comes the surge. Map know-how on display. Let's see, that's what I'm talking about right there. You see how the 12 didn't bail on the top shelf of the racetrack? You see what he did there? He's going to wait to clear and bring the guys that helped him get there to the bottom. Now here they go. If they decide to come down, that is. And I think that's going to be dictated upon what Tef does here, what type of a run he gets through the field. But Sanfilippo did not bail on his battle. He stuck right there with him. In fact, those cars are still tangled up. That's a smart move. Don't break that configuration until you have to. As popsicle sticks in the air. 2 laps to go. Well, less than 2 laps to go. We'll be getting the white flag this time by at the line. Oh, the 9 right, don't be the one. The caution flag. On a caution-free race. With the white flag. This. Oh! I told you, I gotta shut up. Through the tri-oval. It's okay to 3-way at Talladega through the Geico restart zone. Barney is going to have the white flag in the air. These guys are going to go green for 188 laps at the big house. Are you kidding me? There they go. There's the first one. Troy Thomas is in it. How did they save it? Are you kidding me? I am speechless right now. We have to go back and look at that. Andrew Tech getting all the pull from the Red Bull rocket. He's got some beefy lug nuts on that lean mean machine at the front right now. And he is getting the business from that 23, doing all the heavy lifting. Sanfilippo's not going to have enough. Does the Red Bull rocket here? Does he pull the Harvick maneuver? He does. He's going to go to the outside. Tef's going to come down to the bottom. John Force special. It's going to be a drag race to the finish. And the Red Bull rocket's going to win this first one. Smith with a beautiful maneuver. Big finish by Kevin Harvick is going to get the win, and Andrew Tef is going to get snookered again. What a finish. That was textbook. We got to wind this back. I don't know how that wasn't a catastrophe here just moments ago. I don't want to get too far back here, but I believe that was. Where's the 3? Troy Thomas.
Sorry, Dale. I was just leaning on you there at the end because we didn't have any help. Just the 2 of us on the outside.
How is that not a wreck? Look at this. This is this. You want to talk about how good drivers are? Watch this at speed. He was 45 degrees pointing in the wrong direction. I don't have nothing. I got nothing for that. I nothing. You're speechless. As we now go back to the live side of things and the Red Bull rocket, Aaron Smith from Burlington, Wisconsin, is going to pull the move that Kevin Harvick made famous, utilizing that front of the bumper, going to swipe to the back of Tef's race car just to get that car a little bit upset, make him break his momentum, and then is going to give it everything it had under the hood with a drag race to the line as he burns the house down here in front of a sold-out crowd at Talladega Super Speedway. What a win for Austin Smith as he gets the rest of the good out of those good years. Heck, you don't need them anymore. What a race to the finish. And how about these cats going caution-free for 188 laps? That is unheard of. And the save at the end of that race, that's going. I'm sending that to the iRacing highlight reel. That's got to be. I don't know how it's not going to make it. It has to make it. Andrew Tef's going to come home with a solid but painful second-place finish. As we now move to post-race coverage here on Racers Elite Network, we got to reset some graphics. We'll be right back in 30 seconds. Stick around for driver interviews. Don't go anywhere.
Here at TWRS, we're always here to help our squad when they need a little push in the right direction. That's just who we are. We're a beautifully diverse group of goofballs dedicated to driving faithful race cars as fast as possible. And we continue to push each other to the front using the power of nonsense. We have one of the strongest NASCAR programs on the service, and you can access it all for $24.99 a month. And we just released individual subscriptions for $14.99 a month for each NASCAR vehicle. We also just added a Rallycross program, and our IndyCar program is taking off as well. So come join the weird side. We have speed and cookies. Cookies are not included in some locations.
Race fans, welcome back to Talladega Super Speedway. Is the Red Bull Rocket Austin Smith gonna get the victory here over Andrew Teft and Corey Crowell? That's your podium. San Filippo and Kensley Smith gonna round out your top five. Here for a caution-free, lean, mean, and green 100%er. If that's not exciting, if that's not entertaining, I don't know what is. As we now get ready for driver interviews, the top three, of course, going to be featured right here on Racers for Elite Network. Give them a chance to speak with their teammates, their fans, their friends before they join us up here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. We're gonna go third to first. That'll be the order. So we're gonna be looking for Corey. Joining me now in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth, drove a heck of a race in that 20 machine. Corey, how the heck are you after a third place finish, my man?
I'm good. A little bit of a sinus infection, so today was a little rough, but overall we're pretty good.
Hey, I'll tell you what. The run like that, it's got to make that sinus infection hurt just a little bit less. I mean, first and foremost, all you guys as a whole put on a heck of a show today. It's not very often you see a race at Talladega, nonetheless 100%er, go lean, mean, and green. So tip my hat to you guys first and foremost. Walk me through your race this morning into the early afternoon. How are you able to execute and keep yourself where you needed to be and come across that line with a solid third place finish? The floor is yours.
Yeah, at the beginning of the race, we're just hanging in the back. Kudos to everybody for keeping it green. I think we only had that one caution. Just a bad push. It was a checkup, and somebody turned me. So didn't have to use my fast repair. Had a minute and a half damage, so I let it fix that. So worked my way back up. I know myself and Austin and our other teammates of Brandon and Josh, we kind of got split up there. So it was just me and Austin just up front, hoping that if there was another caution, those other two would catch up, but just didn't happen. So we were kind of split on strategy on who to follow. We were able to stay out, just us two, and it worked out where there was some lap cars that were just ahead of us, so we were able to gain their draft coming to where when we pit, and then that kind of put us ahead. So we didn't get too bad leapfrogged. Just overall, a solid day. I hope it was good for you guys in the broadcast and everybody watching.
For a man flying solo up top for 100%er, you guys gave me all the motivation in the world to stay as hot as I could up here, and you guys dialed it up on the racetrack. That was spicy. That was high octane from the drop of the green flag, and you, my friend, were superb. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of this special event here on Racers Elite Network. Before I cut you loose, who do you want to thank who helps you get it done on the 20?
Yeah, I want to thank Racers Elite putting this on. You for the broadcast. You always do a fantastic job. I thank the teammates at Mid-Atlantic Racing Series, working with each other and helping each other out. Everybody watching and everybody that participated.
Well, there he is, ladies and gentlemen, the TRD powered machine, the 20 out there getting it done. He was good in the neighborhood for all of the 188 laps. Comes home with a solid third place finish. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Have a great remainder of your weekend. And hopefully we're speaking with you again really soon, my man.
Hopefully. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Always appreciate Corey coming up here to the booth. Always a force out there on the racetrack, and a terrific job by him out there And again, 188 laps. 1 down, 2 to go. Next up, the head cook, chief, and bottle washer, the heart and soul of Racers Elite, Andrew Teft. Matt, up top, you got a copy.
Yeah, I got you.
Andrew, I don't know whether to be smiling or be heartbroken. Here we are again in a next-gen event, and just when it looks like you're about to punch through and get that win, the 23 kind of have other plans. But, I mean, what a race from you, from the drop of the green flag. And in fact, on the broadcast side of things, they wouldn't know you guys had a caution because we were away when that happened. But for 188 laps, let's talk about what you guys have done collectively as a whole out there on the racetrack. A 100% race at Talladega, 99.989% of the time. You're going to have at least one big one. You're going to have multiple cars out of this race. And yet, at the end of this thing, one minor caution for an incident on the racetrack. 98% of the cars that took the green flag finished this race. That is a huge accomplishment collectively as a body. So first and foremost, I want to tip my hat to you guys there. And what a drive by you. You had that 98 spicy and fired up there at the end. Walk me through your race this morning into the afternoon. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. There was just a ton of respect out there. I could say that for most of our races too. The league stuff, got a lot of respectful guys out there. They're all chartered with Racers Elite, so we're just honored to have them. And yeah, it would have been nice to park in victory lane, but we're also money racing too. So top 3 spots pay, and I figured if I threw a block and wrecked myself, then go home with nothing. So I guess I'll take the 42 points and the money. And congrats to Austin. I'm really glad he went with me there when everybody was running that Pied Piper line up top, and was able to push me through the corners and not get me too upset there. And it's a good thing because we needed to. It was really tight, the top and bottom line there. But he was timing his pushes really good, and we were trying to monitor temps at the same time so that we could push when they were getting a run and not let them get down in front of us. But yeah, just want to thank Austin. Congrats to him, and I believe Corey was behind him too. 3 of us stuck together, and it paid off at the end.
That's right, and money also on the line here this evening, and it's so many different things and highlights to talk about in this race. It's easy to forget about that money aspect after what you guys just did on the racetrack. I want to ask you one more question, then I'll turn it over to you for, your final thoughts, reflections, and the thanks. When you're in the heat of that moment with 2 to 3 laps to go and you guys are inches apart, trying to monitor temps, look in the mirror, see where that energy's coming from, how do you stay on top of everything when you're trying to chase 5 or 6 different variables that you really can't control all at the same time?
Yeah, I was kind of just gauging myself off of him, really. Trying to keep my eyes ahead so I can wheel it as I'm getting pushed in the corners, because you really need quick adjustments to be able to hang on when you're getting pushed like that. And I was able to kind of tell when he was getting hot, because he'd back off a little bit, and I'd try to move over to give him some air or stay up a little bit in the corners. But it was just a lot of gauging off of what he's doing behind me and trying not to get too big of a run, drag a little break here and there so there's not too big of a gap, and just a lot of timing. You can have all the speed in the world, but if you don't use it at the right time when the top's getting their run, or when they're hot, or vice versa, it's just a lot of variables.
Hey, the owner of the league is preaching the gospel right there when it comes to restrictor plate racing. I couldn't have said it better myself. Andrew, before I cut you loose, man, who do you want to thank who helps you get it done on the 98? The floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, I want to thank my team. We were working pretty good there for most of the race. Got separated toward the end with these long green flag pit stops and stuff. It's hard to say. Want to thank our servicemen and women, my family, friends, everybody that tunes in to watch, shows up to race. It's a real honor putting these on and seeing that level of respect out there. And if you're interested in checking us out, just head on over to racerselite.com. You can find all of our info there, schedule standings, Discord invites. Shoot me a message on Discord. We'll get you set up.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You think you got what it takes to be out there with some of the elite on the iRacing side of things? Reach out to Andrew, league admins, get in the Discord, and next time they take to the racetrack, and again, most of the time, 7 nights of high-flying, high-octane racing action right here on Racers Elite. That could be you out there in the competition. And that is the voice of the one and only Andrew Teft, head cook, chief, and bottle washer. Also, your second place finisher. He'll take the money and the respect out there on the racetrack. We'll speak to you next time, and have a great rest of your weekend, sir.
Thanks, Matt. Great job in the booth.
Thank you. I appreciate that, sir. Go ahead and move him back down to the waiting room. And that leaves 2 down, 1 to go. And how about this man, the Red Bull Rocket, Austin Smith, with the win here at Talladega. What a move you put on Tef there at the end, looking like Kevin Harvick, if you ask me. Austin, did you have that one pre-planned, or did it kind of just work out that way with the way the run came and everything else?
Yeah, I knew I was going to have to make a move at the end there if I wanted to win it, but it kind of worked out that outside line fell apart, and the opportunity was there to go high, and I kind of felt bad because Andrew and I were working so well, but you know what, it's for money, so I had to do what I had to do, but regardless, it was a great finish for all of us, and great payday for all of us.
Hey, well said, Austin. I couldn't agree with you more there. And you did everything. In fact, you and Andrew worked really well together. You guys were really quick. You knew how to, it seemed like you guys were reading each other very well. You were vibing, doing all the things you need to do in the closing moments at a plate race to come out on top. And, once it gets down to that last lap in a plate race, gloves come off. It's every man for himself. But nonetheless, the great strategy between the both of you guys and the collaboration with the other cars around you to put yourself ultimately in that situation where you had an opportunity to dethrone the HMFIC for the win and coming to the line, that was just epic. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. What do you do with the money? I got to ask you.
I'm going golfing.
There you go.
As soon as we're done here, I'm going out and gonna go play around. So it's gonna be money well spent.
Perhaps a Red Bull just to cap it off as well. Why not?
Yes, sir.
Hopefully we see more in this series. And, I'm going to tell you the same thing I told the other guys and get your feedback on it. I mean, what all the drivers did collectively as a whole, 188 laps at Talladega, a 100%er. If you would have told me the drop of the green flag, we would have had one minor scuffle for incident, I would have looked at you and laughed in your face. Yet here we are. An incredible job, not only by you, but the rest of the competitors on the racetrack. And I think that's the real story here, especially at a money event. I mean, you don't see that happen anywhere else. I don't see that happen in PGR, any other big money racing leagues out there in iRacing. What you guys did here is truly remarkable.
Yeah, it was honestly insane. I couldn't believe that. Thank God I used that one caution to relieve myself. Otherwise, I would have been sitting here for 4 hours. But it was crazy. Everybody had great respect. Nobody was really chopping each other for the most part. Everybody was clean. I think when it's such a long race and you have to be patient, I think people have a little bit more respect. So it was great. It's super fun. Super happy to be a part of it.
As right now we're watching you come to the start-finish line on the instant replay as you go John Force mode, take it to the high side, and you're going to slingshot around Andrew Teft here as you come through the Geico restart zone. I mean, this is just textbook. It doesn't get any better than this. And that Red Bull Rocket's going to surge ahead. Almost makes you feel like Fast and the Furious Monica when he goes by. Great job, man. Before I cut you loose, who do you want to thank? Who helps you get it done? The floor is yours.
Yeah, I need to, first and foremost, give a shout out to Red Bull. Give a shout out to Garmin watches as well for monitoring my heart rate. Shout out to Midwest Motorsports, my whole team, for helping out. I could not do any of this without those guys. They're the main reason why I'm up here and talking to you. And then a big shout out to all my guys who run in my league, Mid Atlantic Racing Series. Shout out to them for giving me the opportunity to practice and race a couple nights a week. So give you a shout out for the broadcast, doing a fantastic job with that. And then last but not least, Andrew for putting all this on. Obviously couldn't do any of this if Andrew wasn't putting it on, and I know how much responsibility he has when he's putting all this stuff on, and it's kind of stressful sometimes. So big thank you to him.
Absolutely. Well, there he is, ladies and gentlemen, the man that executed It checked all the boxes with a flawless end result. Got it done on the racetrack, in the trenches, in the pits, under green flag conditions. Found himself with the right group of drivers out there on the racetrack and was able to dial it up and go next level with a big-time move made famous by Kevin Harvick there at the end of this thing to pass the HMFIC, to go large and in charge and put Red Bull in victory lane. That is the one and only Austin Smith. Enjoy the rest of your day, and hopefully we speak again really soon, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
And again, folks, I don't know how that one does not get you fired up, the ending of that race, what these drivers accomplished out there on the racetrack. Absolutely spectacular. If you didn't enjoy that, don't bother watching next time. That's how good that was. I want to take a moment to thank all of you guys for tuning in here on Racers Elite Network and being along with us for the ride here on the virtual side of things. Get ready for Talladega, as that comes up here in a couple hours, I believe on FS1. Want to thank Race Control, everything they do. Again, Racers Elite, Andrew Teft, for all the hard work, dedication, men and women behind the scenes that make this phenomenal league and network possible. I'll tell you what, flying solo up in the booth is not that bad when the racing on the racetrack is that darn good. And I think that's going to be the storyline everyone remembers from this one. And heck, top three, putting some extra cheek in their pocket. Cash money. Why not? Unfortunately, folks, it is time for this broadcast to end. Want to thank all the partners, sponsors, Bocconi Setup Shop, Chantel for doing the race control, for all you drivers out there putting on such a phenomenal performance on the racetrack. All you guys welcoming us into your homes, onto your phones, however you get this esports iRacing content. And as the late, great Tony Trapasso used to say, as you walk down the road of life this week, do us all a favor, don't play in traffic, and we'll see you next time right here on Racers Elite Network.